is Ashka and welcome back to my channel. So this channel primarily focuses on media analysis and commentary about film, TV, and other new media, specifically targeting the Indian diaspora. So if any of that interests you, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. So for today's video, we're going to be talking about a little bit of a hot button topic, which is nepotism. Whenever I hear the word nepotism, I think about Aditya Chopra in The Romantics, where he kind of like leans back and laughs and he goes like, nepotism. So in this video, I'm going to be focusing on nepotism in the Bollywood industry. However, the concepts that I bring up can also easily be applied to Hollywood. And I'm going to be talking about the real problem behind nepotism. Are people just mindlessly complaining because they're jealous of these celebrities? Or is there an actual, real systemic and societal problem behind nepotism? You'll have to stay till the end of the video to find out, but I think you can guess what the answer is. So let's dive right into the video. So when I started researching for this video, I started looking up film families, and I was just going to show a couple of examples of like the Kapoor family, maybe like Kajal's family, kind of doing some deeper dives into that. What I didn't realize is that there is actually an entire Wikipedia page dedicated to famous Bollywood families. And the lore runs deep with this one, guys, okay? So there are so many examples of Nepo families in the Bollywood industry. I cannot talk about all of them without being here all day. So we're just going to break down some family trees. I just want to show you guys how deep this problem goes. So I'm only going to be talking about a handful of film families, and I'm also only going to be talking about families that have 3 or more generations of performers, producers, writers, etc. in the industry. So let's dive into our family trees. This is crazy and could take a while, so buckle up, people. So first, let's talk about the Akhtar family. We have John Akhtar, who was a lyricist for Bollywood. John Akhtar had a son named Javed Akhtar, who was a screenwriter and lyricist. Javed Akhtar married Honey Irani, an actress and screenwriter, and they had 2 kids, Farhan Akhtar, who is an actor, director, and writer, and Zoya Akhtar, who is a director and screenwriter. So keep the name Zoya Akhtar in mind. We're going to be talking about her later. Honey Irani also has 2 sisters, Menaka Irani and Daisy Irani, who is an actress. And Menaka Irani's daughter is actually Farah Khan, who is a choreographer and director who has worked very closely with Shah Rukh Khan. This is one where I had no idea that she was also a Nepo baby. Next, we have the Bachchan family. This family starts with Harivansh Rai Bachchan, who is a poet whose couplets were used in Hindi movies. He married Teji Bachchan, and they had a son, guess who, Amitabh Bachchan, who is an iconic actor. Amitabh married Jaya Bachchan, who is an actress, and they had 2 kids. They had a son, Abhishek Bachchan, who went on to become an actor, and they had a daughter named Shweta Bachchan Nanda. Abhishek married Aishwarya Rai, who is an actress, and Shweta married Nikhil Nanda, who is actually the grandson of Raj Kapoor, who we're going to be talking about in a bit. Shweta and Nikhil had a son named Agastya Nanda, who recently made his debut in The Archies, which is directed by Zoya Akhtar. So we're going to be talking more about The Archies in a different section of this video. There are not 1, but 2 Kapoor families in Bollywood. So let's start with the first Kapoor family, which is of Prithviraj Kapoor. So Prithviraj Kapoor was an actor. He is considered one of the founding fathers of Indian cinema, and he married Ramsamy Mehra Kapoor. They had 3 sons and a daughter, Urmila Sayal, Raj Kapoor, who is an actor, director, producer. He is considered the greatest showman of Indian cinema. Shami Kapoor, who is an actor who is also very successful, and Shashi Kapoor, who is an actor and a producer. Raj Kapoor married Krishna Raj Kapoor, and they had 3 sons, Randhir Kapoor, who is an actor, producer, and director, Rishi Kapoor, who was an actor, producer, and director, and Rajiv Kapoor, who is an actor, producer, and director. Shami Kapoor married Geeta Bali, and they had a son named Aditya Raj Kapoor, who is an actor and a producer. And Shashi Kapoor married Jennifer Kendall, who is an actress, and they had 3 kids. Kunal Kapoor, who became an actor and commercial director, Karan Kapoor, who became an actor, model, and photographer, and Sanjana Kapoor, who is an actress. Okay, so now let's talk about Raj Kapoor's kids. So Randhir Kapoor married Babita Kapoor, and they had 2 daughters, Grishma Kapoor, who is an actress, and Kareena Kapoor, who is an actress and a producer. And Kareena Kapoor is married to Saif Ali Khan, who is part of another Bollywood film family that I'm not going to be covering, but he is also a Nepo baby. Rishi Kapoor married Neetu Kapoor, who is an actress, and they had a son named Ranbir Kapoor, the famous, infamous dude who is an actor and a producer. And Ranbir Kapoor is married to Alia Bhatt, who is also part of a film family. Surprise, surprise. Kunal Kapoor, who is Shashi Kapoor's son, had a son named Zahan Prithviraj Kapoor, who is an actor. So that's one Kapoor family. Now let's talk about the other Kapoor family, which is the Kapoor family of Surinder Kapoor. So Surinder Kapoor was a producer who married Nirmal Kapoor. And they had 4 sons. Boni Kapoor, a producer. Anil Kapoor, probably the most well-known, an actor and producer. Sanjay Kapoor, actor and producer. And Reena Kapoor. Boni Kapoor was married to Mona Kapoor, who is a producer. They had 2 kids, Arjun Kapoor, who is an actor, and Anushka Kapoor. Then Boni Kapoor married Sri Devi, may she rest in peace. And they had 2 daughters, Janvi Kapoor, who was an actress, and Kushi Kapoor, who was an actress who just made her debut in The Archies. Anil Kapoor married Sunita Bhavani, and they had 3 kids, Sonam Kapoor, who is an actress, Riya Kapoor, who is a producer, and Harsh Vardhan Kapoor, who is an actor and a producer. Sanjay Kapoor married Maheep Sandhu, who was an actress, and they had 2 kids, Shania Kapoor, who allegedly is launching soon, gonna be in her first movie soon, and Jahan Kapoor. Reena Kapoor married Sandeep Marwa, and they have 2 kids, Mohit Marwa, who is an actor, and Akshay Marwa. Next, let's talk about the Mukherjee Samarth family. This family has a little bit of a twist, so stay tuned for that. This one's a little bit of a mouthful, so bear with me. This family starts with Ratan Bai, who was an actress and a singer, and Ratan Bai was born in 1890, okay? So this is how deep the family goes. It literally starts with someone who was born in the 1800s. This is insane, okay? So Ratan Bai had 1 daughter named Shobhana Samarth, who was an actress. And Shobhana married Kumar Sen Samarth, and they had 2 daughters, Nutan, who was an actress, and Tanuja, who was also an actress. Nutan married Ranjish Bail, and they had a son named Monish Bail, who was an actor. And Tanuja married Shomu Mukherjee, and they had 2 daughters, Kajol, who we all know and love. I talked about her in my Shah Rukh Khan video, who is an actress, and Tanisha, who is also an actress. Kajol married Ajay Devgan, and he is also part of a film family that I do not have time to go over today. I'm so sorry. Now, let's get into the twist. Because Shomu Mukherjee, who is Kajol's father, his mother, so Kajol's grandmother, was Sati Devi. And Sati Devi's brothers were Ashok Kumar, Anup Kumar, and Kishore Kumar. I'm sure those names sound a little bit familiar, but more on them later. So Shomu Mukherjee's dad was Shashidhar Mukherjee, who had 2 brothers, Subodh Mukherjee, who was a director and a producer, and Ravidra Mohan Mukherjee. Ravidra Mohan had a son named Ram Mukherjee, who became a director, producer, and writer. And Ram Mukherjee married Krishna Roy, and they had 2 kids, Rani Mukherjee, who is an actress, who is married to Aditya Chopra, who we're going to be talking about, and Raja Mukherjee, who is a director. So Kajol and Rani Mukherjee are actually first cousins, which was kind of like a fun fact I learned as a kid, but now I know how exactly they're related to each other. Shomu Mukherjee, again, Kajol's dad, also had 2 siblings, Joy Mukherjee, who is an actor and a director, and Deb Mukherjee, who is an actor. Deb Mukherjee had a son named Ayan Mukherjee, who is a director. Okay, so back to Sati Devi. She had 3 brothers, Ashok Kumar, who was an actor. He is considered the first Indian cinema icon. Anup Kumar, who is an actor, and Kishore Kumar, who is a playback singer, musician, and actor. Ashok Kumar had 4 kids: Preeti Ganguly, who is an actress; Rupa Ganguly, who married Devin Verma, who is an actor; Arup Kumar, and Bharati Jaffrey. Bharati had a daughter named Anuradha Patel, who is an actress. And I did a lot of research trying to figure out exactly how this worked, but I couldn't really figure it out. But Bharati's step-granddaughter is Kiara Advani, who is an actress who is married to Siddharth Malhotra, who is also an actor. Kishore Kumar was married 4 times. His first wife was Ruma Guha Thakurta, who is an actress and singer. They had a son named Amit Kumar, who became a singer, actor, and music composer. Kishore Kumar's second wife was Madhubala, who is an Indian icon, and she's considered one of the greatest actresses in Indian cinema. His third wife was Yogita Bali, who was an actress, and his fourth wife was Leena Chandavarkar, who was also an actress. Okay, so the last family I'm going to be talking about is the Chopra Johar family. So growing up, I would get Yash Johar and Yash Chopra really confused, and something in my mind was like, these guys are related to each other, and guess what? I was right. They are related to each other. This family starts with Baldev Raj Chopra, who founded BR Films in 1947. He has 4 siblings: Kiran Chopra, Raj Chopra, Hiru Johar, and Yash Chopra. And Yash Chopra founded Yash Raj Films. He was a director and producer. Hiru Johar married Yash Johar, who is the producer and founder of Dharma Productions. So Yash Johar and Yash Chopra are brothers-in-law. So I knew they were related somehow. And Hiru Johar and Yash Johar had a son named Karan Johar, also known as K-Jo, who is a director, producer in Bollywood. He directed Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. Again, I love that movie. And Yash Chopra married Pamela Chopra, a playback singer, writer, and producer. They had 2 sons who we're going to be diving more into in the next section. They had Aditya Chopra, who is a director, producer, and writer. He actually took over Yash Raj Films after his dad retired. And Uday Chopra, who is an actor and producer. And as mentioned before, Aditya Chopra is married to Rani Mukherjee, who is part of that other film family that I talked about. So when I was looking into these families, I noticed that not only does the lore run deep with like generation after generation of people being in the industry, but also people in the industry, especially actors, marry other actors. And it kind of got me thinking that at some point they're going to run out of actors to pair together because they're all going to be related to each other, which is really weird. But that just goes to show that something has to be done about this nepotism problem. So now that we've sort of dissected and set the stage of these different Nepo families, let's talk about how these Nepo babies respond to the conversation around nepotism and how they're sort of tackling that. And we're going to start with the Chopra family. When it comes to being a Nepo baby, obviously there is an immense amount of privilege that comes with it. And so I wanted to use the documentary The Romantics as a way to sort of illustrate this privilege. So The Romantics is a 4-part documentary on Netflix. They interview all the Bollywood stars you can think of. And in episode 3, they address nepotism. So Aditya Chopra talks about nepotism in a more general sense, and he says that 20 to 30 years ago, regardless of the industry, a lot of kids would do what their parents did for a living, and that's sort of the norm. And that, of course, includes him and his brother Uday Chopra. So in the documentary, Aditya Chopra talks about how obviously Nepo kids do have an advantage when they're first starting out. They are able to get a platform fairly easily, but only the audience can ultimately determine whether or not a star stays relevant and becomes a leading hero or heroine in the Bollywood industry. So let's unpack that a little bit and see if that is true or not. So just a quick side note, The Romantics is actually produced by Yash Raj Films, which of course means there is a huge bias towards Yash Raj Films in the documentary. So I just want to make that very clear that everything I'm talking about is from the perspective of Aditya Chopra and Yash Raj films. So Aditya Chopra talks about his own brother Uday Chopra as an example of somebody who failed as a actor in the Bollywood industry. So let's unpack Uday Chopra's career path a little bit to see if that's actually true. So Uday Chopra made his debut in the film Mohabbatein, which again I talked about in my Shah Rukh Khan video. He was acting alongside Shah Rukh Khan and Amitabh Bachchan, two of like the most iconic actors during that time. He had a leading role. He spent 6 months before production started learning all the choreography, preparing for the role, of course, with his fellow castmates. The movie did pretty well, and he sort of took that first step into establishing himself as a leading man. He then starred in Dhoom, which I'll talk a little bit more about when I talk about Aditya Chopra. But Dhoom was like an action film that Yash Raj Films made, and it was kind of the first of its kind from Yash Raj Films. And Uday Chopra played Ali. So Dhoom actually was a super hit and actually became part of a franchise. So they made 2 more films in the Dhoom franchise, and Uday Chopra has reprised his role in all 3 Dhoom movies. As someone who is a fan of Dhoom and Dhoom 2, Ali is definitely the standout character in the films. He provides comic relief, and he's just very charming and likable. For Uday Chopra to embody that kind of role is iconic in its own right and important to note. Uday Chopra also starred in Pyar Impossible opposite of Priyanka Chopra. I loved that movie, but I don't think it did very well. And that was sort of Uday Chopra's exit from the industry, quote unquote. Although he did play Ali in Dhoom 3, which came out in 2013, 3 years after Pyar Impossible came out. So the point I'm trying to make here is that Aditya Chopra is saying that, oh, well, my brother has failed in the industry. Well, your brother still had a career that spanned 12 years as an actor in the industry. Uday Chopra also recently served as an executive producer for the miniseries The Railway Man, and he currently has 5 other projects that are either in development or in pre-production. So this guy, I would say he's pretty booked and busy for somebody that they have considered a failure. So to touch on Aditya Chopra got his start like working with his dad, shadowing, learning the ropes, and then he started to produce his own films. In the documentary, they make the point that Aditya Chopra knew what the youths wanted to see on screen, something that his dad didn't really know. And Aditya Chopra wanted to make the film Hum Tum, which starred Rani Mukherjee and Saif Ali Khan. So Yash Chopra wasn't really for the movie Hum Tum. He didn't think it would do well. But Aditya Chopra convinced him. And so Yash Chopra gave his son 8 crores, which is equivalent to nearly $1 million. Not the small loan of $1 million.
It has not been easy for me. And, I started off in Brooklyn. My father gave me a small loan of $1 million.
So the success of Hum Tum put Aditya Chopra on the map, and his dad started to believe in him as a producer and a director. And so Aditya Chopra's next project was Dhoom. Again, in the documentary, he says like, oh, that movie was so underestimated by my dad. He didn't think it was going to do well. And boom, it did extremely well. So that's great for Aditya Chopra. I'm sure he has that knowledge. I'm sure he's a smart guy. Nothing against that. But I'm thinking about how for just a regular person who wants to make it in the industry, either as an actor or a producer or a writer, the path is very different from the path that the Chopras took. Most people aren't getting a small loan of $1 million from their parents. And even if they are, even if you do come from wealth, you have to think about how the movie is going to be distributed and who is starring your movie if you're a complete newcomer. All these other factors that the Chopra brothers did not have to think about. So we have a couple of outsiders, if you will, from the Bollywood industry commenting on nepotism. So I'm just going to read some quotes now. So in an interview with the Free Press Journal, TV actor Zan Khan said, quote, I too had to face nepotism in Bollywood. I had done a big banner film for which I had done workshops for about 6 to 7 months, and at the last moment, I was replaced by a star kid. If there is no godfather, it is very difficult to survive there. Erica Fernandez for the Indian Express said, there have been times where you've gone to audition, gotten to the moment where, okay, almost final, and then you get replaced by someone who is a known face or someone who is a known face's child. Nepotism happens. So the last quote is from Arshad Warsi, who played Circuit in Munna Bhai MBBS. So he has actually built a very substantial career for himself as a newcomer, but he had this to say about nepotism. The sad part is, I probably would do the same things with my kids. But yes, it is a difficult thing. You have a segment of actors who will get multiple chances to give a hit, and then you have another segment who do not get that. You give one flop, you are doomed. You have to struggle all the way again to get back. So that is a sad part. So I think this is a good way to transition into our next section. This quote from Arshad essentially tells us that Nepo babies are very often given second, third, fourth, and fifth chances. We've seen that with Uday Chopra. Even though he wasn't super well received by the audience, he kept getting projects. And that would not be the case if he was not Yash Chopra's son. So in the next section, we're going to be talking about the modern Nepo baby, and we're going to be talking about the Archies. Let's get into it. So I told you to keep Zoya Akhtar's name in mind, right? Now we're going to get the payoff of that. So Zoya Akhtar was asked about nepotism, and she said some unhinged things. So I'm just going to read off a few quotes. Zoya Akhtar said, I was born and bred in the industry, and I have every right to follow whatever I want to do. As part of my father's network and what he made, I know those people. What am I going to do? Disown my dad because I want to be a filmmaker? Are you saying I can't choose my own profession? She goes on to say, nepotism cannot be when I take my own money. Who are you to tell me what to do with my money? It's my money. If tomorrow I want to spend my money on my niece, it's my problem. And the last quote, probably the most infamous one, she says, when you turn around and say Suhana Khan shouldn't be in my film, it's banal because it's not going to change your life whether she's in my film or not. You have to talk about what is going to change in your life. So Suhana Khan, for those who don't know, is Shah Rukh Khan's daughter. Again, I talked about her in my Shah Rukh Khan video. Go check it out. But Zoya Akhtar is basically saying, it's my money. I can do whatever I want with it. And that's exactly the problem. So I went on Reddit just to see what people are saying in regards to nepotism in Bollywood. And a lot of people were talking about how they wouldn't mind nepotism if the Nepo babies actually had talent. So in my generation growing up, we had a bunch of Nepo babies. We had Rani Mukherjee, Kajol, Hrithik Roshan, the list goes on and on and on. But they actually had talent. I'm not saying these new Nepo kids don't have talent, but I am saying that Rani Mukherjee made her debut at 19 years old in Kuch Kuch Hota Hai and displayed range and absolutely slayed the role. Kajol, at the same age as Suhana Khan, was starring in Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, Kuch Kuch Hota Hai, like hit after hit after hit. And she has a lot of range, a lot of talent, and same with Hrithik Roshan. They kind of all got started at the same age or even younger than these current Nepo babies that are in the Archies. And so I kind of agree with the people on Reddit. So just to read some quotes from users on Reddit. So somebody said, because yes, Bollywood has always had Nepos, but not to such an extent it had like now. Not to such an extent where 90% of them are so bad. This isn't the Bollywood I grew up with, and this is why I rarely watch Bollywood now. So an article that does a really great job about talking about the Archies and how the Archies sort of demonstrates this issue with nepotism is an article by Nishkal Niraula titled Netflix's The Archies is Hiding Bollywood's Oldest Problem. So to read a quote from that article, there have been actors who benefit from nepotism and have delivered a continuous series of flops with their wooden expressions and a solitary cell worth of range. But they keep signing new movies, and after a few attempts, they eventually get to a serviceable level of performance that keeps them in the industry long enough for their kids to perpetuate the cycle. So another modern example of this is the movie Savaria, which came out in 2007. And this movie launched Ranbir Kapoor and Sonam Kapoor, who are not related. That movie completely flopped. I remember watching it as a kid and not really enjoying it. And I remember my parents just talking about how much that movie flopped. And both Ranbir and Sonam Kapoor have illustrious careers that have now gone on for over a decade. So it's not like they delivered one flop and they're out of there. You know, they are given, like I said in the last section, second, third, fourth, and fifth chances. So let's now talk about the Archies and sort of the controversy behind it. So the Archies is a Netflix film that was directed by Zoya Akhtar. And this film launched three very notable Nepo babies. Suhana Khan, Shah Rukh Khan's daughter, Agastya Nanda, who is Amitabh Bachchan's grandson, and Kushi Kapoor, who is Sri Devi's daughter. Just as a note, these are not the only stars of the film that had connections to Bollywood or whose parents were famous. So this movie was pretty much set up for success. You have the launch of these three Nepo babies. You have Zoya Akhtar directing, who is a pretty coveted director and is known as one of the more progressive directors in Bollywood. And then you also have this iconic IP, the Archie comics, obviously made more popular by the show Riverdale, but Archie comics has actually been super popular, especially in India. It's actually how I discovered the Archie comics, reading them in my relatives' houses in India. The movie does have a 64% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a lot of people did not enjoy the acting of the three Nepo babies. And by the way, the three Nepo babies literally played Archie, Betty, and Veronica. So it's not like they had a supporting role. The three of them were at the forefront of the movie. So the modern day Nepo baby is a little bit different from the Nepo babies of previous generations because they don't have to work as hard to create a name for themselves and to create hype around them. And this is because of social media. So all these Nepo kids are on Instagram, they're making content, they have sponsorships, they have brand deals. And so there is already a level of hype around them even before they are on screen. Even if their movie flops, they will still have that following and they will still have other platforms to promote themselves, which keeps them in the public eye, which will then incentivize producers, directors, what have you, to cast them in more movies to build up hype for those movies. So ultimately, it doesn't really matter how much talent they have because they are the kids of very famous people. There is automatically hype around them. Even Shania Kapoor, who I mentioned before, she has not even launched in a movie yet. She hasn't made her debut, but she has 2 million Instagram followers and has plenty of brand deals. She goes to plenty of red carpets. So there is already hype around her, and she hasn't even started her acting career yet. So somebody on Reddit explained this very well. They said, quote, "Nepotism has always existed, but there's almost a monopoly now. Earlier, we had models, VJs, dancers, etc., who built up their fan base over time through multiple channels, like John Abraham, Lara Dutta, etc. There's no opportunity for outsiders to do that now. Nepo kids are on reality shows, podcasts, influencers. Where is the chance for anyone else to even be visible to the audience?" So I think the fact that these Nepo babies are very prevalent on social media and have a big following, which will continuously generate hype around them for years to come, is definitely a contributing factor to them not needing to have as much of an acting range or chops as the previous Nepo babies from other generations. Something else that I thought was interesting is the difference between a Bollywood Nepo baby and a Hollywood Nepo baby. Because in Bollywood, there is the concept of a launch or a debut. So there is a lot of hype surrounding somebody's debut. Like I mentioned, Salvaria was Ranbir Kapoor's debut. Student of the Year was Alia Bhatt's debut, and The Archies was the debut of these three actors that I mentioned. In Hollywood, of course, there is still a huge privilege getting into the industry, but a lot of these actors work their way up. And I wanted to give a quick example of Maya Hawke. So Maya Hawke is the daughter of Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman, two very famous actors. And I wanted to just quickly go over Maya Hawke's career trajectory. So Maya Hawke started out taking several roles in independent film as well as music videos. She was in a miniseries called Little Women, which was on PBS in 2017. She, of course, got the opportunity to be on big blockbuster films like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And of course, she is probably most well known for her role as Robin Buckley on Stranger Things. Both of those projects came out in 2019. Although Maya Hawke is in these huge franchises and films, she is not the lead role. She has a smaller role or a supporting role. And in 2022, she starred in the film Do Revenge with Camila Mendes, and that was kind of her first lead role. She has since been in huge blockbuster films like Asteroid City, Maestro, The Kill Room, alongside her mom, Uma Thurman, and Inside Out 2. But she has not starred in any of these. She has a supporting role. And what this does is, of course, this person is given a platform because of their privilege as a Nepo baby. But Maya Hawke and other people like her in Hollywood are given the chance to develop their craft in like smaller positions before they are trusted to spearhead their own movie or TV show. In Bollywood, it's quite the opposite. People are launched as a lead role right away, which doesn't give them the chance to really develop themselves. If you're constantly given lead roles as a Bollywood Nepo baby, there is no motivation to do better in the craft. And we can extend that to directors, writers, what have you. So let's talk about how this goes beyond actors. So this nepotism problem goes beyond actors. When we think about who gets to decide which films are greenlit, which TV shows are greenlit, what we ultimately get to see on the screen, we're talking about producers and studio executives. So to just do a quick little dive on this, I looked up the 3 highest grossing Bollywood movies over the last 3 years. So I'm just going to go over them and talk about who produced these films. So in 2023, we have Jawan, which was produced by Gauri Khan, Shah Rukh Khan's wife. We have Pathan, produced by our boy Aditya Chopra. And we have Animal, which was produced by Bhushan Kumar, who is the chairman and managing director of T-Series. So he's the one who got my video taken down. Still bitter about it. And Bhushan Kumar started running T-Series after his father passed. His father was the founder of T-Series. So Animal was produced by him as well as his uncle, Krishan Kumar. In 2022, we have Brahmastra Part 1, produced by our boy, once again, Karan Johar and Namit Malhotra, who is the son of a film producer, and Ranbir Kapoor, who we all know and love or hate. Then we have Drishyam 2, again produced by Bhushan and Krishan Kumar. And then we have The Kashmir Files, which was produced by Abhishek Agrawal. This is actually his first Bollywood project, and Pallavi Joshi, who is the child of stage actors, but she starred in indie films and pretty much made it on her own. So this is one where it was produced by newcomers or people who don't come from famous families in Bollywood. And lastly, in 2021, we have Surya Vanshi, that was produced by Karan Johar and his mom. We have 83, that was produced by Sajid Nadiadwala, whose grandfather was a producer. We have Vishnu Vardhan Induri, who is self-made, and we have Deepika Padukone, who just so happened to star in the film, and her husband was also starring in the film. And finally, we have Antim, The Final Truth, that was produced by Salman Khan, who is also a Nepo baby. So when we talk about nepotism, I think it's even more important to talk about who is behind the camera. Whoever is behind the camera really gets to influence how certain storylines are portrayed, how certain people, groups of people are portrayed. And it can literally change our perception of the world, which is the perfect segue into our next section. We have a bunch of rich elite people making films about marginalized groups of people, which doesn't sit right. So to talk about the Collider article again that talks about the Archies, there is something about the Nepo babies coming together to create a movie whose plot revolves around fighting rich elites that feels very inauthentic and even perverse. So you might be saying, Ashka, you just talked about 9 movies. Like, that doesn't mean that every single movie is produced by Nepo babies. There's independent film, there are other film industries. And my response to that is yes, of course. In India, most major states actually have their own film industry, and South India has its own film industry. But we're talking about Bollywood here, and we're talking about this massive scope of Bollywood. Most people I know are not watching independent film. They are not watching very niche, films. They're watching what's playing in the movie theater, which makes sense. So I looked up some scholarly articles, as I do, for this, and I wanted to, again, just read off some quotes from these articles. So Mr. Sandeep writes, cinema is a potent vehicle of information, education, and entertainment that contributes to the formation of opinions across different social groups. Films are responsible for the portrayal of architecture, music, dance, and traditions of different regions of India, alongside the complex processes of globalization, modernization, nationalism, and other important terms which in technical language people are not very much aware of. So the reach of Bollywood is expansive. To read another quote, the reach of Bollywood films in India is estimated at 65% of India's rural population, including a relatively affluent middle class of approximately 150 million. It is estimated that India's 800 cinemas sell 10 million tickets daily and have 5 billion visits annually, 4 times as many as the United States. So when we talk about cinema, and not to get all deep and sappy, but the beauty of cinema really is to see the world through the filmmaker's eyes. And for an hour or 2 or 3.5, if you're watching a Bollywood movie, you are immersed into this filmmaker's point of view, and perspective is so important. And that's why having a diverse array of not only people in front of the camera, but also behind the camera just creates a very enriched experience. And when we have a monopoly of directors, writers, and producers who are all in the top 1% of wealth, who all kind of come from the same background, who all know each other and are in touch with each other, we get a very limited world view. And through these quotes, we can see that Bollywood does not only impact people in India, but also people around the world. So one final quote, in many respects, Bollywood films have become an international obsession with the Indian diaspora. And these films are viewed across South Asia, Africa, South America, Eastern Europe, and Russia. Thus, Bollywood is fueled by a larger audience eager to consume this genre, with around 15 million expatriates accounting for 65% of Bollywood's earnings. When we're watching a Bollywood film, or any film for that matter, again, we are seeing a unique worldview. But are we seeing that much of a unique worldview if the same people keep making films? I don't know. So again, that's not to say that these people don't have any talent, right? I loved watching Bollywood growing up, and I loved watching Karan Johar movies and Aditya Chopra's films. I have no problem with it, but I think as time goes on, we need to just make room for new people. So just to get into my final thoughts, I don't think that nepotism needs to die. I don't think that people shouldn't follow in their parents' footsteps. I know a lot of people who have that are not in the entertainment industry, but we need to make more room. We need to make room for new ideas, for new performers. We need the audition process to be fair. We need everybody, regardless of whether they come from a famous family or not. And both those people need to be given the same amount of respect and weight in their auditions. It would be good to have a mix of Nepo babies and newcomers, both in front of and behind the camera. Is that wishful thinking? Is that actually going to happen someday? I don't know. But in the meantime, we should definitely check out independent film. We should check out television shows, because a lot of TV shows produced in India have some newcomers in them that are up and coming. And we should do our own research and just be mindful of who's producing the films that we're watching, who's in front of and behind the camera. And hopefully we can have a more balanced Bollywood industry and Hollywood, because especially in Bollywood, like I said, if they continue down this path, they're going to run out of people to pair together because they're all going to be related to each other. All right, guys, so that's the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. This is probably a long one. I've been filming for a while, so if you liked it, please give this video a thumbs up. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.